Oh, they can put umbrellas up. They can put Theresa May with her Coke and chips. All the journalists, they want us to ask questions on Cornish fancy. That's for the Christmas present, I think. The other the MP through the hut. I said the only other hut over there is Connie Hut. Yeah, that's my sister. Through Cadbury, she's someone who is descended from the Cadbury. And the quota, very interesting. The old Rowntrees, Terrys, Clarks, the shoemakers. My apprentice, I found in the University of Challenge, my college, Eric Mumford was my apprentice. And helped him take over the funding and stuff. That's the college I went to, the one that the University of Challenge. He's brilliant. And I just get to go in and go in. Once it was fantastic. People coming out, I'm like, right, here we go, here we go. It's great to do. A lot of transformation. Here comes Dominic people wearing privilege on their sleeves. It was April, there were tests, there were trials. Now they do interview, I'm not sure how much effect it has. One time I tried to get on it, I didn't quite fairly keen on it. They do a few times when they go on television. We had a great team, it was a shame. This Californian scientist who partly funded a PhD by working with the model, who was just extraordinarily great. A real authority. She was an authority on all things Roman. We were the weirdest university to have a PhD. And the leader of the Conservative Club, who was this Cordry Strike Welshman, who I had fierce political debates with. And then we found out we were on the team together and I continued the debate with him and called him awful. And he turned up and he had to pass a test and it was him and I'm like, oh God. It's a very, like I kept saying, we have to cooperate, share resources. Imagine all the traffic people use Cadbury. It's amazing to be stopped just as you walk through the sun. Jeremy Corbyn appeared.
I mean, taking it away from the people who need it.
Absolutely. What do they call it? We got it. The Occupy movement used to do that. There's a technique in a crowd. Passing stuff in front of people next to them. The Occupy groups used to do that. They were impressive. it by the time it gets here. Adam Curtis, people in Curtis. He's a documentary filmmaker and journalist. Hypernormalisation. He didn't coin it, but his film is named after it. It's coined from a Russian academic called it's just a look at what it's just arriving. So big. So big. I'm not saying Theresa May has anything to do with Donald Trump, who she runs disease. Shared a platform with. Sold arms for. If this is popular, then my question's going
Yes, we can.
Sophie, yeah, I typed an S and it filmed my name in. That was a photo, it's Labour and the Promise. My favourite thing. Which is how the Armenian genocide. Who's actually admitting it up? Yeah, who's admitting it? What happened if I started thinking things can only get better? Well, the 99%. I'm sure David Graeber wouldn't mind. He's another one. He's supposedly wrote the other one. Someone said something positive. We tried.
Never want to be a real journalist.
Tories out, Labour in. 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 Tories out.
Hey, friends! Friends! Good afternoon and welcome to Southall. I'm Vrinder Sharma, former member of Parliament, now a candidate. Today, we are in the midst of the general election to decide the kind of Britain we want to see. To make a choice about the country we want to live in. I have lived in this area for 49 years. And in that time, I have stood firmly behind it. Friends, I have raised my family here. My grandchildren have been raised here. And I'm proud to call Ealing and Southall my home. I have always stood for religious tolerance and for the unity of all faiths. I'm proud that here in Southall, we put division aside and stand together as one community. We let our political beliefs drive our politics, and our religion is our own. Friends, we still have much to do. Too many people in this great city live in the poverty. Too many don't have access to homes fit for habitation. And too many lives are blighted by ill health. This election must be about bringing people together, improving people's lives and turning our backs on the politics of division. Today, we stand here as Labour Party members of all religions and from all communities. We are all committed to Labour victory, committed to keeping Ealing Southall Labour, and committed to sending our leader to number 10 Downing Street. Friends, today we are joined by a very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my dear friend, Jeremy Corbyn, the future
Narendra, thank you very much. I've got a little present for you here. It's a book. It's a book, and on the inside it's written, if you'll hold the microphone, I'll be able to... This is teamwork in operation. Narendra, all the best with this great manifesto for the many, not the few. Friends, thank you so much for coming here today. I'm sorry if we've kept you waiting in the rain. We've done a very large number of events, and in every town and city we go to, we obviously want to meet as many people as we can and understand and work with the diversity of every community. So, this afternoon, I've been into the mosque, I've been to Gurdwara, and I've been talking to people of all faiths, and indeed of no faith at all. Because we're a community that comes together in support and respect for each other. This area has stood up for those principles as long as I can remember. And it stood up against those that sought to divide us, the far right, the racists, and all those that would bring division to our community. There is only one answer. There is only one answer to those who seek to divide us. We unite ourselves even stronger every day. And so, this election campaign is about the future of all of us. I was very proud to be in Bradford on Tuesday morning to announce our manifesto, to launch our manifesto for the many, not the few. Because this election is about the future of everyone in our society. During the last 7 years, public sector pay has been frozen. Indeed, that's meant that those who work in our vital National Health Service have had a 14% pay cut. Those who try to keep our social care system going are struggling, as more than 1 million people are not getting the care they need. Those who teach in our schools, do their best for all of our children, struggle too, with supersized classes, with increasing pressures and less money in order to run the school properly. And head teachers being told, collect the money from the parents at the school gate so you might be able to keep some of the teachers in work. And then, particularly in London, you look at the housing crisis where thousands, tens of thousands are living in insecure private rented accommodation. Families unable to make ends meet, the benefit cap kicks in and they have to move out of London or move away from the communities that they've lived in all their lives. And our local councils, even if they want to build council housing, find it very difficult because they cannot borrow the money to do it, they cannot get the resources necessary to do it. And all the while, what's happening? Between now and 2020, a further £60 billion will be handed back to the wealthiest and the corporations in our society, while our public services go underfunded, while the homeless sleep on our streets, while too many of our children go hungry, and 6 million people, 6 million, earn less than the living wage in modern Britain. And the Tory party tells us they're the party of the 21st century. 21st century inequality, but you know they've got one really brilliant, great, big, wonderful, really cutting edge, high technology, 21st century idea. Do you know what it is? You know what it is? No, not that. No, not that one. You know what it is? It's bring back fox hunting. I mean, come on. And also bring back selective education. Well, I'm sorry, our manifesto is very, very different. Because we do not subscribe to the idea that you introduce more and more selective education to provide a ladder for the few to get on very well in life. I want a staircase that all of our children can go up together, improving together and achieving together. Because those are the principles that our party is founded on and the principles we want to put forward in government. And there are other things we're going to be doing as well. Every child in every primary school, every day, under a Labour government, will get a free school meal they will eat together. And I'm told this is deeply divisive, and I'm really trying to work out how this is really divisive. Because what I'm suggesting is that when children go to school, they go to school together. They go to school to learn together. They go to school to learn to live together. They go to school to learn each other's strengths and weaknesses, achievements and disasters, and they help each other out. And so, if every child sits down at lunchtime together to eat together, they talk all these things through. Far better than dividing them up between those that get a free school meal, those that bring in sandwiches, and those that get something else. I want them all to do things together, and we pay for it through a tax system that is fair, so that the very wealthiest and the biggest corporations pay, so that we can all benefit. And then, later on, we want our young people to achieve, to be able to go to college, to do A-levels, to do apprenticeships, and we will reinstate the educational maintenance allowance to ensure that there is no discrimination against those who want to go to college. And too many people are now being deterred from going to university, frightened of it, because they will leave university with a debt often of over £50,000. And that means, if you look at the statistics, working class youngsters are not going to university the same number they did in the past. Why? Because the coalition government and the Tory government have raised the fees, removed the maintenance grants, and resulted in a less fair system of higher education. John McDonnell, our brilliant Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer, and will be the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and as you know, the candidate and MP for Hayes and Harlington, he's worked it all out, and we've all worked it out. We are going to abolish student fees in university. And in our manifesto, there is so much more that we want to achieve. There are, as Brenda quite rightly pointed out, massive inequalities in health across our society. If you took a bus, there's a nice bus over there actually, it's called For the Many, Not the Few. If you took that bus from, say, a place called, say, Windsor and Maidenhead, I think you're all aware of where it is, and you drove all the way through this wonderful city of ours, all the way through London, and you came out at the other side in Essex, you would, if you measured it, go through big changes in life expectancy. If you live in Windsor and Maidenhead, you might be better off. You'd probably live longer, you'd have less illness. The further you go in to the more crowded, poorer areas, the shorter the life expectancy, the higher the rate of illness and all the problems we face, and that would go all the way through. So we have these health inequalities because of housing, because of stress, because of the changes that are being proposed in our health service. And so I am utterly determined to do a number of things. The first is the principle of a national health service as a human right, free at the point of use. Nybervan's great legacy to all of us. But it's under threat and under pressure at the present time. Under pressure because it's not funded properly, under pressure because the nurses are overworked, under pressure because there's not enough GPs, under pressure because of the social care and the difficulty of those in hospital getting released from hospital, all of those things. So the first thing, no, Jeremy's are all right, there's just one who's making mistakes. Most Jeremy's are all right, okay. He stole my line. So the first thing John Ashworth will do when he becomes Secretary of State for Health is suspend the sustainability and transformation plans, so we can look again at all of these reorganisations. Because you know what? All over the country, everywhere you go, there's these competitions between Telford and Shrewsbury, competitions between Milton Keynes and Bedford, competitions between Worcester and Redditch, competitions between Ealing and Charing Cross, and so on, all around the country. It's not a sensible way of doing things. Let's be planning sensibly in our health service to make sure there is an A&E department within reach of everybody, and hospitals don't operate in competition with each other, they work together with each other. That surely has to be the right way forward. And I've mentioned social care. We will properly fund social care and make sure those million people waiting don't have to wait. But there's also another crisis which doesn't get mentioned so often, but I feel very, very strongly about it. There's a good crowd of us here today. During our lifetime, a quarter of us are going to go through a serious crisis, mental health, stress, and we'll be alone and in a very difficult place. Too many of our young people have taken their lives because nobody was available to help them, and they didn't feel able to talk about it. One thing we can do as a crowd is actually stop the jokes, stop the stigma, stop the isolation of those that are going through a mental health crisis. And the second is to make sure there is a properly funded National Health Service that will give real parity of esteem. It's a thing that Labour won when we were opposing the Health and Social Care Act. You might say it's the best thing in the Health and Social Care Act. We will keep that bit of the Health and Social Care Act. I can't say the same for the rest of it. And we will do that because I believe very strongly that we as a society have to face up to supporting people, whatever the situation they're in. There's so much in this manifesto. I won't read it all, and I won't ask Virendra to read it all. But essentially, what this manifesto does is offers something different. Either we go forward in a country where the gap between the richest and the poorest gets bigger and bigger. More and more people end up sleeping on our streets. Yes. More and more people go through deep stress in our society. Yes. And even more people, at the moment 6 million, work for less than the living wage. And at the other end, there are so many elderly people living in poverty and in isolation. So we will protect the triple lock, but we'll also look at the issue of pensioner isolation and poverty. But our programme is also about economic development. It's about investment. It's about infrastructure investment. It's about sustainable energy and industries. It's about all of those things. At the moment, Britain invests less than any other country and achieves less as a result. We will introduce and set up a national investment bank that will be funded sufficiently for every region of Britain. Every region will get a fair allocation of capital investment so that we have a stronger economy at the end of it. And we'll pay for all of this, not by increasing tax, national insurance or VAT for 95% of the population. We will ask those with the broadest shoulders and best able to pay a little more, that the rest of us might live a little better. And so we will be pursuing those that think it's a good idea to make money here and pay tax somewhere else. We're suggesting if you're making money here, kindly pay your tax here and don't ship your profits off to a tax haven somewhere else. But it's also about the kind of world and society we want to live in. I've spent my life campaigning for social justice as a union organiser, even visiting Ealing Hospital as a union organiser back in the day. But it's also about how we look at the rest of the world. I want a foreign policy that's based on peace, based on justice, based on democracy, based on human rights. And I'm determined that will be the basis. And that we will adhere to all the international agreements on emissions, pollution, air quality and climate change. So we won't be a country that pours filth into the sea. We will be making our seas and rivers even cleaner than they are, but also making sure we're not exporting pollution by bad trade agreements with others. I am very serious that we want to be a government that works for the many, not the few, and works for the world, not the few, and works for a good and cleaner environment. But this manifesto is also about the chances and opportunities for the young people of Britain. 2 million people in the last 2 weeks have registered to vote in this election because they want their say. The vast majority of those are young people. So I say to all those young people casting their vote for the first time, do you want to live in a Britain run by a Tory government that works for the few, that gives tax relief to the rich and the big corporations, that allows the homeless to remain on the streets, the hospitals overcrowded, the schools underfunded, the housing crisis getting worse? Or do you want to live in a country that genuinely gives real opportunity for every young person, wherever they're born, wherever they're posted? That does end gender pay gap and discrimination, that does bring society and communities together and reach an agreement with the European Union that we have tariff-free trade with them and we keep the workers' rights and environmental protections that we've gained through membership of the EU. I am determined that we will do absolutely everything we possibly can in the next 3 weeks today before June the 8th appears. And I urge all of you to do everything you can in this borough to win every single one of the constituencies in this borough and the ones around, because to get a Labour government we need to make gains as well as holding what we have. And I ask all of you, do everything you can between now and June the 8th. Put everything you can into winning this election. Let's show that the general election of 2017 was one that was won against the odds. Where those that have been condemned and isolated came together in strength to win the election and win for everybody that needs a government that cares for them rather than a government that cares for the few. Thank you very much indeed.
Sorry about the rain. Oh, okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're a socialist, so you'll be that. I am, yeah. As you're a socialist, you'll be that.
You still okay? I've got a bit sandwiched here.
Other bashes as well. Other bashes.
That would be so good. Oh, I don't have it with me. I don't have anything. My banana. Oh dear, we got a shower. Shake hands with you. Thank you, Christ. Yeah.